Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong life for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well. Morning, morning. How are we, folks? A few of the early birds there, which is awesome. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Who we got online this morning? Marcus is there. Good morning, Marcus. Hello, mate. Kevin, as always, great to have you here, pal. Excellent. Jeff, hot up there. Yeah, Alex, summer's here. It's here. It's hot, rainy, steamy. It's the further you go north, the hotter that becomes, doesn't it? Hey, well, I hope you got the air conditioning working. Our air conditioner broke the other day. Crikey, I tell you what, try living in your house without an air conditioner, unless it's designed amazingly. Bit more difficult than you think. Thanks, Marcus. Yes, we've got our merch floating around, the Powered by Purpose merch. People, Place and Planet. If you're in our mentoring and coaching program, you know the drill. We have some things that we like to bake into what we do, into our DNA of our biz, our coaching, our property investing. Certainly worth chatting about. Morning, Brad. How are you, mate? Good to see you. Well, folks, thanks for joining today. As we always do, we might do some quick little hellos. Jason Witten's my name. Most of you know that already. You do. If you do, that's fine. If you don't, well, hello, good morning, brand new. Thank you for joining. Say hello in the chat, those sorts of things. But this morning, I thought we might talk about a little something that I always like, the idea of looking into the future. Who gets to look into how do you look into the future as a property investor? Good question. Is it worth doing? Yeah, I think so. How far can we look into the future? Well, depends. There's actually some interesting things, going on out there in the market. And if you understand them, then you can make some decisions, investing decisions with some, maybe some confidence. And I like the idea of making good, confident investing decisions. So let's talk about that this morning. I've got some good info and data to show you guys a bit later on. Morning, Ashvin. There you go. Good to see you here on the live as well. All right, let's talk about it. How do we do this? Let's look at the timeline we're talking about here. Let's look at the timeline. I'll rub that one out and make sure that actually I'll just put it up a bit higher. Let's look at the timeline. Let's look at this, just put in perspective for a second, for a moment, and let's look at this is the future. And let's talk about 3 to 10 years. This is the now. And let's, look backwards. Obviously this is past. And let's talk about the 3 to 10 years in the past. And we can use, hang on. That's a bit upside down, isn't it? I'm going to do something here. put that around the right way. That's better. That's better. I was like, holy, what am I writing here? Anyway, that's the past. There's the future. How do we use good data information to look at this? What's the go? All right. And so for me, for you, what we can do is collect good information. But who, just quickly, and I've done this before, so we won't hang around too long on this. Who looks at the past, folks? When we're looking at a property and we go, right, should I invest in property right now? Who looks at the past? Who's a glancer at the past? It might even be a recent past, let's say the last 1 to 3 months, and it might even be many years. What types of people in the world of property investing have a look at the past? Got to get the spelling right. Have a look at the past and say, all right, well, I think this is what happens. Yeah, exactly. Brad, a valuer, says, all right, here's what's happened in let's say, the past 6 months. Past 6 months. And this is what I think the property is worth today. No future gazing, no future attribution. And often when the valuer is instructed by the banks, then they're even more conservative in that space, right? We all know this. You guys have seen this before, but I think it's good to kind of put it in a little bit of perspective as we sort of chat today, because I'll look at some info. So let's look at the now, kind of like a month in the future and a month just gone. Who is the professional that hangs around and goes, right now, this is what your property's worth, and I can do something with that. I can do something today with that. Let's go. Who's the professional who does that? As we go. Often, too, ladies and gents, accountants look back, and that's some of the trouble with misunderstanding accountants and accounting when we're talking about our wealth. But that's not today's conversation. You're dead right, Marcus. Brad, right on it. The agent, your real estate agent, right? The agent, the selling agent, the sales agent. They're like, hey, I 1 or 2 weeks ago sold for $850. There's not a lot on the market. Let's put it up for $890 and see how we go. I reckon we'll get between $900 and $850. Let's give it a whirl, right? That's them. And then who looks into the future? Who gazes into the future and says, all right, I think it's going to be worth way more than anybody is understanding right now. And to be honest, that's you. That's an investor, all right? An investor. And, an investor. Now, I wouldn't say, owners as in, a principal place of residence owner. That's right, Marcus. You are a future crystal ball gazer. I don't know. Is that's not even the right way to say it. But you know what I'm saying, folks. You and me, we have to look at some things and go, okay, what confidence, what information, what data gives me confidence? And it's this combination of, like I said the other day, some good data, some good education and some support, understanding we're doing the right thing, a long-term plan. You've got to have a plan, a vision, a goal, right? If you don't have that, a goal, and you've got to do some personal development on this stuff, folks, because things won't go exactly to plan. And I'm telling you, all of this stuff, I can give you the perfect data. Listen, folks, we know where to look. We've been doing this 26 years, Sam and I. The collective smartness of the company, when you come and have a look at who is in behind the scenes for you, is insane, unbelievable, wonderful. Education, there's not a property deal that we haven't seen, done, or told you to avoid, or told you to get on. Plan, vision, goal, perfect. But if you don't take care of your personal development, your emotional, your mental, your clarity, all of that other stuff is irrelevant. But that's not today's conversation. I better stay on track or I won't bloody finish the chat today. Anyway, well, Scott, better have a little drink. Slow down, Jason. All right, here we go. So you got to have all this stuff. Got to have all the good info, all the good data. Now, what type of information, what type of data can we use, folks, to look into the future? All right, what can we use? Well, there's a bunch of good stuff, and I'm going to show you one of my favorites when it comes to the property itself. So there's people data, there's people behavior, there's demographics. Demographics. There's population data. There's spending data on people, and there's wages. All sorts of good people data. All right. So there's two sets of data that you want to get your hand on, or get your mind around. There's the people data. So what's going on with people data right now, folks? It's looking pretty snazzy right now. Let's say the next 3 to 5 years, you go and have a look at some good reports and data. Demographics is looking good. People are transferring wealth, and population is going up. Spending maybe a little bit out of control with inflation, but inflation is not a bad thing for our rents, to be honest, folks. But on the other side, the interest rates go up, they will go back down, wages, et cetera, et cetera. So that data is good. That's not the data I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the property data today, what's going on out there. And we want to look at property data. And I want to look at the kind of the now data, which actually in real terms becomes the future when it comes to property data, because the now data predicts the next 30 to 90 days often of what's going on, and maybe even further into the future, depending on the trend of that data. But anyway, let's have a look. So the past data in the past is what the properties have sold for, what they've rented for, and that's dollars in the bank. That's registered. That's registered at the bonds office. That's registered. The sold data is registered at the lands and titles office. That's done, folks. That past data is done. It's locked away, and you can get access to it. Some of us might have to buy some it there's free, etc. There you go. But we're not looking in the past, are we? We want to look at the future. And my favorite website to look into the future is, does anybody know it? Does anyone know my favorite website to look into the future? It's a sort of a short window of the future, but it could turn into a longer window of the future. Does anyone know it? Chuck it in the chat if you do. But I won't muck around because we haven't got a lot of time to muck around today, Jason, so don't worry too much. All right, my favorite data website is SQM Research, folks. And what it is, that's right, James, SQM Research, for a small amount of research and data. Now, just so you guys know, this is not the only thing to look at. So, there's other things as well. However, when you look at SQM Research, we're looking at what's going on in a couple of different things. The number of property listings out there, because this is the supply and demand thing that we look at, right? So let's have a look at what we think the future might look like if we do this. Let's go to the national SQM Research. You can go to there, and there's lots of good things down here. You can get all sorts of info and data, but let's have a look at this. And let's talk about what we think we might see in this data information for the future. Then this is national. So we do national, and I'll zoom into a couple of states just quickly in a second, right? So, the country was bopping along for many years at around approximately 400,000 listings, 300 to 400,000 listings, 350. As the population was growing, by the way, folks. And this is the thing. So what we all must understand or remember, check this out, as I'll put this over here, as these listings, so these listings were kind of going along, right? And then went down. What was happening to our population? Going up. Actually, I'll do that. I'll do that here. Our population, our population was going up. So our listings were going down and our population was going up. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a second. So listings, the number of property listings for sale. If you look at nationwide, they went down to like a low over here in sort of February 22 or something like that. And they've popped up a little bit depending on how you look at this, right? So let's have a look at total property listings of houses and units. Now, I want you to see something here. Check this out. The number of, these are houses for sale, folks, and units for sale nationwide. Now tell me in the chat, and this is where we have to use our education. There's a lot more houses for sale than there is apartments for sale. Okay, maybe there's a lot more houses around, right? Tell me what you see the problem with that is, folks. Put it in the chat, the problem and the opportunity. Now, you have to be able to put a bunch of stuff together here, and you would have had to been around for a few of these other chats that we've had in the past. What's the challenge with lots more houses for sale, not as many units for sale, and you've got to add some other data in from the other day we're chatting with Sam about the other day. So there's a few things. Less rentals available. You're dead right about that, Marcus. One thing that you're going to see, folks, is the average house price is significantly higher. The gap between apartments and houses is the largest 40% gap, the largest it's ever been, right? So now people can't afford houses by and large because of the price of them and borrowing constraints. So then where are people going to go if they can't afford to buy these houses and there's more available for sale than apartments? What's going to happen? Put 2 and 2 together for me. So people who considered houses before now can't consider houses. Where are they going to look, folks? Where are they going to look? They're going to look at apartments or townhouses. The apartments and townhouses are put in together because they're strata titled. Folks, and there's going to be more people competing with a smaller stock set. That's what's going to happen. Anyway, moving on. This is my prediction for the future. All right. So I'm looking here and going, okay, here's what I think. I'm putting 2 and 5 and 6 and 8 together as away we go. So weekly asking prices. All right. Here we go. Things are still going up in value as we go, and the apartment prices a little bit flatter compared to the houses. Okay. You see that as a bit of a lag, but that's an opportunity. Weekly rental listings. Have a look at this. Look how many nationwide, and now we're down around the 50,000, and our peak was 100,000, folks, in 2020, right? 50,000, a 50% decrease. A 50% decrease and 1 million more people in the country. What's the future? What's your prediction for the future? Well, predict it. Look right there. That's the data today. We're 50,000 properties less on the market for rental, 50% down, 1 million more people in the country. What's going to happen to rents? And so this is not rocket science, is it? You get some good info, you add a few other bits together, and 1 million more people, and I think the rents are going to go up. Again, apartments will grow faster than houses when it comes to the next 12 to 18 months because, folks, for rents and houses. You're dead right, Marcus. And the other night, Sam and I, said at mentoring, and I did it yesterday as well, the 11 ways that property prices are going to literally bump $100,000 by the end of next year, folks. Across the board, you watch, anything worth buying is going to get a bump because of these things. And we're seeing it in the data already. Okay. SQM Research, weekly rents. What's the trajectory? Look at this, folks. And apartments as well. Straight up. All right. So we're seeing this, right? The yield. Now, the yield is, when you have a look at the implied yield, it's flat and going down, right? You go, the yield's going down. No, the value's going up faster than the rent can keep up. So this one, really, I'd ignore this rental yield thing. because it doesn't make any sense. Because when that goes flat or down, often it's because your property values are skyrocketing, folks. Okay, so that one's not much chop, but look at this. Look at this. Nationwide, folks. The whole country, 1%. That's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Ludicrous. So we're 50% down, 50% down on our property listings, and the vacancy rate has fallen 66%. There you go. Anyway, who wants to pick the future? Who wants to pick the future? There's only one thing that if and when it changes, and it will, there's one thing that's holding a little bit back, and that is interest rates, folks. Interest rates. Yep, that is correct. Borrowing. Check out this. It's interesting, and I haven't got time to do all of these, but Western Australia, WA, okay, popping along. It's had some down. It's getting a bit of a run, and then you go, all right, check out this. Weekly asking prices, flat forever. Boom. WA, skyrocketing. All right. Check out the weekly listing rentals. Like mid here, call it 11,000, and down here now, less than 2,000. 11,000 to 2,000, folks. The population hasn't gone backwards. It's gone up in Perth. Crazy. All right. And then you look at, I wonder why those rents have just skyrocketed. No shit, Dick Tracy. All right. There we go. Check out the vacancy rate. Right. 5% down to less than 0.5%. Crazy times. All right. Predict the future. Go on then. Have a go. I'm telling you, this stuff is interesting. So I like this stuff, this data. Let's have a look at Brizzy. Check out that. I gave the good one away. Look at this. Total property listings, boom, down, right? Check at this. Massive fall down, the number of properties listed. Look at the weekly rentals. Just popped and then are running again. Population increasing. Up here, let's call it again. I don't know, call it 13,000. Down here, it's halved, all right? Halved. Away we go. So weekly rents up. The yield again going slow because the values have risen, not because it's going backwards. It's because the values have risen. And look at the vacancy rate, folks. Under 1%. Crazy times. Anyway, there you go. Lots of good information. Lots of good data. And, how do we predict the future? What do you think? Put it in the chat. Put in the chat right now. The medium-term future, the next year might be a little bit uncertain because what happens in data is Sydney affects data a lot. So if you remove Sydney out of the data set, folks, then you'll get a truer representation because Sydney gets a little bit out of control. But listen, I think we're going to have a good stabilization right now. There'll be some hot spots, to be honest. Alex, I'm picking Brisbane and Perth, and Melbourne still undervalued. Melbourne, you'll buy things that you wouldn't believe you could buy for the next 12 months because its political situation is rubbish. Once it gets its shit sorted in that pile and the interest rates go down, Melbourne's going to have an absolute good crack. But Perth, Brizzy, Melbourne, no brainers. Anyway, there you go. All right, folks. 126 people. That is crazy. Oh, Marcus. Wow. Yeah. There you go. And you know what, folks? This is what I've said to people. If you really want to understand what's going on, get out there on the weekend. Seriously. Like, stop sitting at home pretending you know what's going on, because you don't. Go out and do a few open homes on a weekend. Do it as part of your research. Do it as part of your reinforcement to you and your decision to property invest, and go feel the market. Because then you'll be like, shit. Yeah, I get it. I'm on the right track. Anyway, gone over today. Hopefully that was useful, folks. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. join me tomorrow for another one. We'll do it about the same time. I'll try and stay on time this time. But anyway, no promises. No promises. But there you go. All right, folks, that's it. Take care. Remember, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. Buy well, don't sell. All right, folks, that's it. Adios. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.